Hello, hello.
Hello, how's everybody doing? We hope you guys are great. Just make sure you, I know you all signed in because you had to, but anything you want to write in the chat, we'll try to get to it and get this party started. So hi, I'm Kim. That's Sarah.
I'm Sarah.
And we're your Jostens Yearbook reps. And the greatest thing about this is we're coming to you virtually today, but we're going to be in your classroom soon and hopefully getting to brainstorm and collaborate and work with you on your amazing yearbook. So you can kind of see my office behind me, and Sarah has a piano and a dog. So in case she gets real stressed out, I guess she goes over there.
There's
oh, two dogs. Yeah, mine's still in the bed. He literally has not come downstairs. Yeah. So we are here, and today we're going to do a lot of really fun things. And or actually, probably, I don't know if it's so fun today. Today's more like you better do this kind of day. I'm coming.
It's just planning. It's just planning. It's a little less fun than designing and creating, but
yeah. So we're going to do a lot of things today that are the backbone of your yearbook, and today is the most important day. So I'm going to get started, and we're going to show you a lovely PowerPoint behind me.
And I'm watching the chat and the Q&A thing. So just whatever you've got to say, you just pop it in there. Don't say anything about these pictures though.
Oh yeah, you can say something about mine. That is the ugliest picture. My mother, this was on my mom's wall for so long, I called it the wall of shame. Look at this hair. Look at these curls right here. No, there is nothing cute about this.
Okay, but was it cute in its day?
I was hot. Yeah, that was a hot look right there. Let me just tell you.
I look exactly the same, only about 50 pounds heavier.
Yeah, you look like you're in junior high still.
I know.
All right, so we're the crazy ladies that are going to be helping you with your yearbook. And I'm the lead rep. I've been in yearbooks for over almost 27 years now. I started with Jostens 19 years, almost 19 years ago as the rep. Before that, I was a yearbook advisor, and I taught camps all over the country. And so I was a history teacher. I taught yearbook and newspaper. So I've done a little bit of everything. And Sarah, you want to tell them a little bit about your background?
Yeah, I started as a high school history teacher. I did that for 10 years. And after a few years, I coached cheerleading. I had no flipping clue what I was doing. And after a few years, they said, hey, do you want to be a yearbook advisor? I'm like, well, heck, if I can do cheerleading, I can sure do yearbook. So I'm like, yeah, let's give it a shot. And I with no background, just dove right in and fell in love with it. And so I did that for like I said, I was a teacher for 10 years and then had the privilege of working with Kim, and it's just been lots of fun.
I saw that, River is on here with us, and I gave them a challenge the other day when I was visiting with them to try and figure out what my first career was. And I'm curious if they ever figured it out. She can type it in the chat if they did.
If they don't know, they're never going to guess.
I'm going to wait and see if they figured it out. I told them they get a prize. Okay. So we're fun. I mean, let's just be real. You cannot do yearbook and not have fun, because it's about documenting all the great things that are happening. They wrote turtle conservationist. That is not it. So stop guessing.
I can see how that would be a good guess, though.
It would be a good guess. And you can see us here with some of our staff. This is Sarah and I in the car. And keep in mind that our job is to basically work with you to in-person visits, virtual visits, demonstrate things, fix things, save your butts, put out fires. We're basically the support person for your classroom, something you don't get in any other classroom, to help you put together a fabulous book. We're kind of the mediators between the plant and you, so that we make sure that the plant gets everything they need and you get everything you need.
Well, you're the only yearbook advisor at your school, so you can't have a PLC, right? So that's us. We're that, only we don't make you sit through boring meetings.
Yeah, we're your PLC without the meetings. Okay. And so here you can see us with all kinds of kids and fun people all year long. Now, how do you contact us? Well, I'm the only Trizona in the whole state, so that's not going to be real hard for you. But this is everything. Kids, take a screenshot, whatever. Teachers, you get this on every email that we basically send to you. You have our emails, you have our phone numbers. I prefer email over text, and I'm telling you why, because I forget that somebody texts me during the day, and then I'm like, oh, they text me. I forgot to do that, which just reminded me of something Panther Creek texted me yesterday. So I'm going to have to remember to do it.
Yeah,
So,
these are our personal phone numbers, which is great because we always have them with us. But sometimes you get buried under our children's texts and our spouse's texts.
right.
And
And
so, yeah,
so,
feel free
yeah,
to call or text us, but email is usually the safest.
we are very active on social media, and you need to be following us on everything that you use. And so we're at NC Yearbooks. So very, very fun. Just find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We have our own YouTube channel out there that we're going to show you that I forgot to show the last group. And so we're going to make sure that you follow us. And we're going to talk a lot about social media on our gathering and marketing days. So I'm going to leave. Go ahead, Sarah.
Tell them about, I think maybe we accidentally spoiled them with our quick turnarounds because of COVID and working in our office, but we're back on the road now. So why don't you tell them what they can expect about email returns and whatnot?
We usually return everything within 12 to 24 hours. Usually it's more like 4 or 5, but used to, Sarah, as you said, it was like 24 minutes or seconds last year because we were sitting here working at our desk. So this year it will be a little longer just because I am in the car and I've been told I cannot text and drive. Remember, we cannot text and drive or answer emails. So I will pull off the road a couple of times and catch up if I can during the day. But just know that we're always going to get back to you. We've never been slack about that at all. We always answer
you. If it's longer than 24 hours, follow up because there's something wrong.
Yeah, I didn't make it home or something. Okay. just follow up, because Kim is going to sit here at night until every email at least has an email back that says, got it, looking out, trying to figure it out and letting you know. All right. So that very important screen here. All right. Next one. How do we communicate with you? One of the most important things we do is we send every Monday a little tip week. It's like a little newsletter on Monday. It's called Tip of the Week. It's dated for that week, and it has a variety of things that are time sensitive. So if we're talking about planning or we were talking about camp, we were sending information like, hey, here's camp. Do you know how many advisors I met with last week that said, oh, I didn't read anything about camp? And I'm like, oh, you didn't read your tip of the week. So I'm going to call you on it because it is the one thing I asked you to do every Monday. So kids, I don't care who you are, Monday, you look at Miss Stevens or Miss Webb or Miss Freeman, Miss Murray, Miss Molnar, anybody, Mr. Hammer, and you go, what did Kim and Sarah send in the tip of the week? Now, this is important because this is going to save you. Like, you're going to email me if you don't read it the next day or so, and you're going to say, how do I do this? And I'll be like, oh, didn't read that tip of the week, did you? So make sure you do it. And then find a place to put these. Each of the tips each week is a PDF that's interactive. And so really a Google Drive that is dedicated to Yearbook, where you have a folder called Tip of the Week, and you put that PDF in there every week so every kid can access it, is the perfect situation if you can do that.
And Sarah, you can still email us with questions. We don't want you to not email us, but we do want you to be proactive, read through that. I promise you, 5 minutes every Monday during class, during planning, before school, whenever, will save you so much headache.
Make it your Monday morning bell ringer every Monday. Just that's what you're going to do on Monday for your bell ringer. Now, organization. Okay, I'm a little bit OCD, and every one of you in Yearbook needs to be a little bit OCD. Okay, I'm sorry, but you just need to be. This is
true, yeah.
This is not a free-for-all. Yearbook is like, whoa, let's go take some pictures, throw them on the page. No, okay. This is, what is my plan for organization this year? And every year I did Yearbook, I organized it differently because I learned from the year before. I learned that, oh, that didn't work, or that was repetitive, or that took too much time. So I've been doing this like, what, 27 years now? And Sarah's been doing it for 15, 16 years now. I mean, I don't know, how long have you been doing it, Sarah? I don't know.
Probably 10.
10, okay. We have found over time what we like as far as organization. And I'm just going to be honest with you. A dedicated yearbook Google Drive is number one, in my opinion. It's number one. Now, you can do it any way you want, but this is number one. I like to, and this is how Sarah and I do it.
Yeah.
We have a 22 resource folder, and everything we create and share with you, we put in our resource folder so that you can go to that folder anytime and find what you need. We even put an index in the folder, so you don't have to look through the folder, you just look at the index.
And it's hyperlinked, so you just click it.
Yes. So it's really important that you guys set up what you're doing at school. And to me, I thought through this, I've thought through it every way possible. But if you set up a 22 yearbook drive, and in that you put tip of the week folder, you put interview folders, if you put photo folder, and then within that photo folder, you put folders for every event that you're going to take pictures of. And that way, if I'm out at an event, and even if I wasn't supposed to take pictures, and I'm at the JV game, and I snapped a few pictures of people in the stands or the cheerleaders or whatever, most kids now have Google Drive on their phone, and they can just upload those photos into that Google Drive. And Google Drive is connected to Yearbook Avenue, which we'll show you on Monday.
Google Drive, not Google Pics.
Don't do Google Pics. That is separate. It is not what you can use. If you're at a school and teachers and faculty are taking pictures, then think about how you could share that photo, just the photo file, and put their classes in there, and they could share pictures to it. Think of the ways that you can get more coverage easier.
Wouldn't that be beautiful for an elementary school? You make a folder for every grade, and then inside the grade, one for every teacher, and that teacher just pops a few pictures in there, and you have access. And then once you upload them into Yearbook Avenue, you just make a subfolder that says already uploaded, file them, you don't redo it.
Please do that. We have to have the already uploaded folder in Google Drive, because I was at a school yesterday and they had every photo uploaded 3 times because they just kept uploading the same thing. So you've got to have a folder that says already uploaded, that you pull those photos. I do it in each category. So like in football, JV, if I have photos in there, I have an uploaded folder, and I just pull the ones that have been uploaded. So when I go back to JV, if there's 5 new photos, I know there are 5 new ones.
I don't like to delete them.
Yeah, don't delete. I don't delete anything.
Know.
Tech support will tell you I have more stuff on my hard drive than any other rep. But keep in mind that you need organization. And then whatever folders you have here for photos in your Google Drive, make sure they're the same folders on Yearbook Avenue. Now, this is very important to me. I'm a event person. So like, I want it to say cross country, and I want all cross country pictures to be in there. If it's a club pictures, I want it to say student government. I want all student government pictures to be in there. Some of you are going to do weekly coverage. You might put them in big folders and then move them to that week if you know you're going to use them on those pages. Don't upload them twice, because that gives you the risk of having pictures in your yearbook twice. But these folders in Google, if they match the folders here, it's so easy, because you're just going to go here, upload, go to the folder in Google Drive, upload, done.
Very simple. We're going to talk about the ladder in a few minutes, but I would make sure that you have a category for everything at school that you want to cover, and maybe cross-reference it with the ladder to make sure it's all good. But go ahead and do it now. Get your list from your AD of all the sports, and go ahead and make a sports folder now, even if it's not time for that sport yet, because it's going to do 2 things. One, it reduces the barrier to entry for your kids. They don't have to make their own folder. It's there, and they're more likely to upload it to the proper folder if they don't have to create it. And secondly, I feel like that's a good, backdoor cross check to make sure we have no pictures in the dance team folder. We forgot them. We have to put them in. It's just a good reminder to yourself as well.
And editors, I think this is a job for you. I think you sit down with your advisor and you figure out everything you're going to cover, every sport, every event, every club, every dance, every organization, and you make those folders and you have them on whatever if you're using a Google Drive, and then also on Image Library in Yearbook Avenue, which is where you put your photos to put in the book. Also, you need a coverage calendar. Who's taking pictures, where, and when? Again, you can do this in Google, or you could do it on a poster in the room or a calendar in the room. I was at a school the other day and they have a big calendar up there that's in your kit, and they wrote every event on the calendar and then the name of the person covering it. That makes you responsible. If you say, I'm going to the soccer game and you don't go, your name's up on the board, you failed. Okay, you can't do that. You have to do being on Yearbook is you have to do what you say you're going to do, because everybody depends on each other. We can't just like not do it.
I always love the idea too of having every event up there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to go to every soccer game if you're covering soccer, but if you sign up for the last soccer game and you don't go, there are no more opportunities. So I like being able to see all of the opportunities, pick the one that is the best, and then have a backup plan if something happens. If it gets
always go, yeah, 2 or 3 times.
If you have a flat tire on the way, so you want to have backup plans. So I like that idea of the visual calendar to say, here's when all the events are, here's going to be my first attempt, and is there still an opportunity afterwards if something goes wrong?
I've seen kids go to a football game and come back with 0 pictures because they forgot to put the Sims card in.
Or the battery died.
Yeah, and so you've got to have multiple opportunities. You can't just go one time to anything. And along with having this dedicated drive, a dedicated calendar for coverage, you got to have a way to check out your equipment, which we'll talk about later. I just about had a heart attack the other day at a school because there were no lens covers, no lens back covers, no anything. And I was just like, okay, people, we got to take better care of our equipment. And just because it's not your equipment and it belongs to the school doesn't mean it doesn't need to be taken care of. And we need a system for that. So lots of things about organization, and really think through this with your editors and your staff. What works best for you guys? Because that's what you need to do. But please do not have an image library that says Billy's favorite photos. I don't know what Billy's favorite photos are. So when you're starting to work on a page, you can't find what you're looking for. Okay?
Those kind of folders are also the folders that always seem to have 8,000 pictures in them.
Let's talk about that. Do we really need 700 photos of JV football? No. So one thing to think about is if you use a Google Drive, you could vet your photos here and look at them as a class and pick a 30 or 40 that are the best, upload them to Yearbook Avenue, put the rest in the do not use folder, maybe in there, and then just keep moving. So think about those things as you plan. Okay, plan, plan, plan. All right, how many of you use an iPhone? I bet there's everyone in the room almost has an iPhone. One of the things that is very important is that you change the setting on your iPhone so that you can upload your photos. When your iPhone comes under camera setting, or under settings or camera settings format, most iPhones have high efficiency checked. You see that? That compresses your photo and makes it an HEIC. You need to click most compatible. That's going to make it a JPEG. And you need to do this for every friend, every teacher, every human being that's going to submit a photo. Make sure their iPhone is set correctly. All right. So let's stop talking here and let's go to Yearbook Avenue and start learning about planning. All right, Sarah, I'm assuming you can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
That's better than I've done before. So this is really great because you know me, I could click and be somewhere else completely. All right, I am looking at the home screen of my yearbook. All right, I'm gonna pretend today that I'm the advisor. And this is my home screen. And it looks a little different from last year. They love to change things. So we have these tiles on here that are the most important events, okay? And so are things that are going to happen. My deadlines, my coverage, my sales, my ad sales pages, you got it. I love the calendar, love the task tab, and then about tagging. Down the left-hand side, it'll take you directly, these palettes will take you directly to all of these items, okay? Across the top, you're going to have your main tools, and most of you guys are only going to use plan, Create, and Digital Classroom for many, many times. But those are going to be your top 3. So I'm going to start off today with plan, because what is the name of our camp today? Plan. Okay, so let's plan. So I'm going to go to plan, and I'm going to look at the tabs. Now, advisors, this is hugely important. I don't care, and I know you think, oh, we need to get started on pages. We need to do this. The only thing you need to be starting on right now is taking photos of events that would never happen again, like first day of school or first fire drill that everybody's starting to have right now. Take pictures of those things. But let's start backing. Let's step back a little from page design, and let's talk about planning our book. Because without a plan, you're going nowhere, and you'll go in circles, and it'll be not a good thing. So we're going to start off with staff. So when I go to staff, you'll see Sarah is the advisor of this yearbook, and then she has some other people helping her as advisors, and then she's got her staff. And most everybody in your room right now is a staff, unless you have editors and then you, but everybody else is that. So if I'm going to add staff, I'm going to add staff. I'm going to type in their first name, their last name. The username, I want that to be their first initial last name. Now that's because I want to be able to track their progress. So I can tell them kudos, good things, you're doing a great job. Or if something's missing, I want to be able to figure out why they or where they're at. Password, I make every student come up and type in their own password, because if they come to me 2 weeks after yearbook has started and ask me their password, I'll probably have a meltdown. So I want them to have their own password that they know, that they remember. And then the role. Now the role is very important. Never make a student an advisor. Okay, never. That is the only person that can submit pages, and advisors, you're the only one who can get fired. All right, editors, obviously your leaders, and then your staff. All right, so let's go look at Billy. A lot of times, and I think somebody on this call emailed me this week and go, my kids can't do something, okay? Well, that's because when you make someone a staff member, they don't have the same rights as advisors and editors. So if you look at my rights under edit, I have every right on, okay, through the whole thing. But if I look at Billy, Billy doesn't have all the rights, okay?
Billy can't be trusted with everything.
Well, and you don't want them, because things will disappear.
Billy can't be trusted to delete photos.
Right. I don't want anybody to be able to delete photos. I don't even want people to be able to download images, because that could be a privacy issue. But I do want most of my school students to have access to the photo editing tools. So you turn that on and you save. You're going to have to decide this as your staff grows, as their abilities grow, as you assign more things for people to do, of whether or not they can do things. Like, I don't want anybody moving pages, because that could be a hot mess. I might want them to be able to edit names on the coverage report if somebody's name is spelled wrong. But we'll talk about, anything that comes up. That's why they can't do it. You need to give them privileges. So you need to give every staff member their own login. They have their own password, and they need to keep it secret. This is not to be shared at the pajama party on Friday night. Okay, so this is yours. The next thing is we're going to plan. We're going to plan our book. And to do that, we're going to plan colors and fonts and styles. And we're going to plan what type of templates our ads people are going to be able to use. So we're going to do a lot of planning. And if you take 2 solid weeks and do planning, you're going to have the best book ever.
Why do we need to plan? Why can't we just let the kids do what they want to with colors and stuff?
Oh, no. We don't want a Fruit Loop looking book, and we don't want a ransom note for fonts. So we're going to plan, okay? So we're going to think about our theme over the next couple of weeks. And while we're doing that, we're going to look at what colors bring that theme alive, what fonts bring that theme alive. So we'll start off today with colors, all right? So when I planned this book, I knew that I was going to have what I call theme colors. So I created a custom color palette, and I called it theme colors, because I wanted there to be certain colors that I use throughout the book.
Those colors look really familiar.
Yeah, I always wanted to be energy yellow and fuchsia and rainforest lagoon. So I just went to add and I picked the colors, because if not, all these colors are going to show up. All right. And I might forget what orange we're using, and we'll have 10 oranges in the book. So plan your colors. So these are my theme colors. If I need to add one later, I can add one later.
And you'll notice that those are colors you're going to see from us over and over again.
These are our theme colors for the year. Sarah and I always brand for the year. Now,
one more thing about colors is you might want to look at them on paper and not on the computer screen.
Look at them in your book.
Reds and blues.
They're in your book, in your kit. Your advisor has that. Look at the printed color to pick your colors, and then go and pick it. Always leave on grayscale. If I get to your school and there's no black available, I know you've turned off the color palette, grayscale. So always make sure you leave on grayscale. Now, if you don't want certain grays, you can get rid of them and you can put a theme gray in there, whatever you want. And then I went through and I just inactivated any of the colors I knew we weren't even going to come close to using. That way, when my students went to their pages, they weren't confused. They had a lot, their choices were narrowed. The next thing I'm going to plan are my fonts. Unlike colors where everything's activated, Sarah said this at the last one, fonts, nothing is activated except Foundations Roman and Foundation Sans. I've literally gone to a school and at the end they have said, why do we only have 2 fonts at Jostens? And I'm like, well, you have 250 font families. That just means your advisor did not make them active. So you have to plan. Now, there are different types of fonts. There's script, there's serif, there's sans serif, and they're decorative. I use very few decorative fonts. I usually pick 1 or 2 script fonts. I always pick a serif font, and I always pick a sans serif font. So for this book, we picked ampersand. It's going to be a lot of our headlines. All I had to do was click the word inactive, and it becomes active. Advisors can do that. I then picked Arizona. That's going to be one of my scripts. And I also picked, not that I'm going to use it in the book, I picked Chelsea. I did that for my parents because any ad service schools that where the parent buys and makes the ad online, whatever fonts you make available here are the fonts the parents are going to have. So I wanted the parents to have 2 of the script fonts. I'm not going to use it in my book. I'm going to use Arizona. And then I picked a font family like Avalon. This gives me 8 different choices of Avalon, all the same font. But it also gave my families that are doing ads a variety of fonts, but not different from my book. All right. The rest I've left unactive. What did you say, Sarah, about adding fonts later in the year and taking away fonts?
Yeah, I don't want to do that. And the reason I don't want to do that is because I don't like dealing with cranky parents. And so anything I can do to minimize upsetting parents is better. So if I go in on day 1 and you haven't activated any fonts yet, and the only fonts I have to create my senior portrait, whatever, senior ad is Foundation Sans and Foundation Roman. And then 3 weeks later, you turn on all the fonts and Kim gets to go crazy with fonts. When the book comes out, I'm going to want to know, well, why didn't I get to choose that font?
Yeah, exactly.
I like to just pick the ones you want, turn them on, and don't touch them. And then every parent has the same access to the same fonts, and you don't have to listen to them complain about it.
And I haven't turned on your ad services yet for 99% of you, because I'm waiting for you to choose your font, and then we'll start ad services. That is not something we have to do immediately the first few weeks of school. Now, this is the most underutilized tool in Yearbook Avenue, and it's called Styles.
And I love it.
You've got to do this. So in Styles, after you choose your font, you basically assign that font to what you're going to use it on the page. So I told you ampersand was going to be our headline font. Now, I might not always want it to be 40 point, but I'm going to put it in right now because that worked best on my template. I can change it on my template, but at least if a kid pulls on a headline piece of text, it's going to be in the right font and at least starting at the right size. I also, I did my subhead. I did an identifier caption. So if it's just doing like a name on a photo, I want every name on a photo to be the same 8-point foundation sans. I also did captions, body copy, small headline, and question. You can add to this all year long. You can edit it and change it. But if you, at least once you pick your fonts and you pick your styles and you start on your designs, before you put your templates on your pages, fill this out so that if you have to replace something, editors, this will save you hours and hours and hours of checking fonts. Okay, very important. So we have planned our staff. We've given everybody a login and their different privileges. We're going to plan our colors based on our theme. We're going to plan our fonts. We're going to plan our styles. And then advisors, if you're using ad services, you're going to plan your templates. And later I'll show you in the next few days the 3 different types of templates available for parents to choose from, and how you can make it just one that you have available, or all 3 or 2. But that is under plan. All right. Is there any questions out there so far?
Yeah. So one question was, are there any suggested font groups that go together as far as styles go? And I was just telling them, if they look in their yearbook kit, there is a font book, and it teaches you some of those things about how to put together different fonts. But I like to look for contrasting fonts. So maybe one that's a script and one that's a sans serif, or one that's thick and one that's thin, to kind of give you some contrast. If they're too similar, it's pointless. You might as well use the same font, right?
Right.
So you'll
notice I have a script, and then I have a sans serif.
But there's no really wrong answer. You do what feels right to you and your school and your theme. But the honest design side answer would be to pick a couple of fonts that contrast nicely. I've seen books done with only one font family, the whole book, and it looked beautiful.
A lot of my higher level books, like at Duke and stuff, they use like one font family. Like they'll use Function one year, Avalon one year, Opus one year. I mean, it just depends. You don't need a lot of fonts. You need one that has what I call a family of fonts, like an Avalon or Function. So you have, if you need to make it bold, there's a bold one. If you need to make it condensed, there's a condensed one. But it's the same font. Okay. So don't think you've got to have 400 fonts, and please don't turn on all your fonts. Because then your parents, if you do ad services, are going to have 250 fonts to choose from. And that's going to be the ransom note we were talking about.
And some of these fonts, I'm sorry, are a challenge for me.
Right. You don't want them. I mean, I don't, and I stay away from decorative. Decorative is the one that I put in stencil because we're using that one as part of our theme. But like, I am never going to use matter of fact.
There you go.
I'm never going to use that. Okay.
Maybe if it's a Halloween page.
I don't even know if I can handle that. Okay, Sarah, I just don't even. Okay, I don't know. Okay. So you got me. We got staffs. We understand the planning of colors. Don't ever tell me something's pretty, because you are designers, not decorators. So we want to make sure that we are designing and that you see those elements of design. And then replay it is how the outside world can send you photos, and your replay-its are all activated, and there is your link if you're looking for that. If you want to make any type of posters to go around school, you can make QR codes of your link and put it out there for kids to send you pictures. All right, next. The heart and soul of Yearbook. This is where, if you're going to mess it up, this is where you'll mess it up. Okay. I mean, just warning you ahead of time. We can always fix a font. We can always fix a color. But if you plan your ladder wrong, it can be detrimental to your year.
It's kind of like building a house without having a blueprint.
Right. As I said, when you forget to put electrical outlets in the right spot, and then you built your house and now you can't plug things in where you want to plug them in. So this is the ladder. There is a ladder online and there is a ladder in your kit. I suggest you laminate the one in your kit so you can change it as we plan it. The most important thing is, as we plan what goes on, is that you fill out the electronic digital ladder. Don't email me and ask me to help you with the football page. And you have 350 pages and I don't know what the football page is. So I can at least find the football page if you have labeled it. Okay, very important. Also, I want to make sure you understand. I just did that. I'm not downloading last year's. I want you to understand that this has a lot of information. So it tells me what the page is about. I can do a more descriptive look. I can say what deadline it's going in on, and I can pick who is assigned that page. Once it's assigned, that person, the editor and the advisor, are the only one who can access that page and work on it. Okay.
And by assigning, you're also allowing these filters to the left-hand side to work. So if you assign a page to Billy and then you save, you have to save.
And then I just want Billy to see his pages. Billy only has that page assigned.
Or when you're doing your grading and you want to look and see how things are going, you can specifically see for each student.
Right, exactly. Very, very important. This stuff is really important. Now, I want to make sure you understand and see these little dots. These blue dots and these pink dots, okay? So when we print at the plant, we print in signatures in 6 sets of 16 pages. 8 of those pages are the blue dots. They're on one side of the sheet of paper. 8 of those pages are the pink dots. They're on the other side of that sheet of paper. We cannot print unless we have all 8 of each of those pages. Notice they're not in chronological order, but 2 and 3, 6 and 7, you'll see that they all are on one side. So you might think, oh, I didn't finish page 7. It's not going to be a big deal. Everybody else is finished. It is a big deal because now you've held up every other page that was supposed to go in, all right, to be printed. So it is very important that you understand the ladder tells us what we're going to put on our pages, when it's due, and how it's going to be printed. And that determines your ship week. So your responsibility is to meet your deadlines. And to do that, you have to plan an excellent ladder. All right. Sarah, can you think of like when ladders gone wrong? We should make a show called When Ladders Go Wrong.
Oh, it would be interesting, wouldn't it?
I will tell you because her dog just had a fit. When ladders go wrong, or when I decide, oh, we're going to do the first section of our book on dances, and we've got the good old homecoming dance, the Valentine's dance. Oh, and let's throw prom in there. Well, they're all in different seasons. There's no way you can turn in any of these pages and us print them. You can turn them in, but we can't print them. They're just sitting there. So when you plan your ladder, you have to think, when I'm turning this in, can it be printed? Can I make all these pages happen? Do these work together? Okay. And it's really important to understand where your SIGs begin and end. If I do this half of page 16 on varsity, let's do this, varsity or JV football, and then I decide that the other side, because that starts the next SIG, is going to be JV, I don't know, softball. It's the spread. It just doesn't work sometimes. You just got to use good common sense. And that's what we're here for. We're here to fix your ladder when you guys start planning it.
I think a couple of the ones that I see the most often are when you have a smaller varsity sport that doesn't have a JV, like golf or tennis. And you're like, let's put girls tennis and boys tennis together and girls golf and boys golf together, but they're in different seasons.
Right. You can't, it just doesn't work. So when you plan this ladder, I know your advisor is going to like drive you crazy these first few weeks of planning, but this is so, so important. Now, if you'll notice, remember we were talking about planning, you'll see that I planned everything. So I've got all the right fonts, got the right colors. My ladder is exactly how I want it to be. I know what's going to go on every page. Literally, this is the most important part of your job for the next month. You want to take pictures and do other things, but Sarah, what else?
Can you show them how, if they have like maybe a team, like maybe you and I are both assigned to work on a spread, and I'm working on it. Can you and I work? Can we work on it at the same time? How do we not overwrite each other? Because this
We
isn't
are,
like Google where we can just work on it at the same time and it's live.
no, it's not, because there's so much more going on than Google.
Much more
Okay.
intricate than just typing in a document.
Right. So if I go to view, if there's two, if we're sitting at the same computer, we just work together, right? But let's say you're at home and I'm at home and we're working on this spread together. You need to decide which side you're working on. So I need this to be a single page view. So I can work on 2 and you can work on 3. If you don't, and you're both working on it at the same time, one of you is going to win and one of you is going to lose. So in all your work, it will say another person or user has claimed this page. You'll have to save it as a template. And to do that is great. You can go file, save as template, but still somebody's going to lose their work.
What is there any way for you to know outside of just calling everybody on the staff and saying, hey, are you working right now?
What would you suggest is best for that?
I mean, normally when you go on a page, have you ever gotten that pop up that it's like, Kim is working on this page?
Another user has claimed this page. It tells you right at the very beginning.
So if that happens, get off the page.
Right. I mean, just stay off the page, go away from it. That's when you text that person, says, oh man, I saw you're working on the page. Can we switch halves or do something like that? But you've got to communicate with each other.
Right.
Right. Planning, planning, planning. All right. Now, how do I choose what kind of layout or what kind of ladder I want to use, Sarah? What is the best way to do that?
The way the world actually works, which is chronologically.
All right, I'm going to come back and we're going to show
we are
them.
history teachers, but you know,
all right,
there's a reason things go in a certain order. So following that order makes your life easier.
All right. So there's different kinds of ladders. So we're going to just show you some coverage and show you how it works. So this is Apex Friendship Middle. Middle school's monthly coverage is amazing, or even small high school's monthly coverage is available. And it's really easy to do. You can concentrate on events that happen in August, events that happen in September. I prefer chronological. The traditional ladder obviously was, we used to do it with sections like student life, sports. People, that will kill you, because it's going to happen that we're going to have to step back and punt this year at some point. Some events are going to be canceled. Some sports are not going to take place, or we're going to have a new sport added. That is the worst kind of coverage you can do, and you need to just take our advice on it. It will hurt you. You will never be able to do it, especially if you do a club section, which I'm going to talk you out of as much as I can. I believe clubs are part of academics, which are part of student life. And I think that you really need like a chronological section that combines integrated coverage of clubs, academics, student activities going on, events. And then if you want a sports section, you can have one of those. And if you want a portrait section, of course, you'll have one of those, and an ad section. So this is an example of monthly coverage for a smaller school. This, Sarah, is an example of weekly coverage. Now, weekly coverage scares some people, and then people who've done it in big high schools, once they do it, they swear they'll never go back. But this is literally assigning a spread, and in that week, you cover everything that's happening, and you cover a few, like what I call just people stories, just about people. Okay, so it might not just happen that week, but it's just a student interest story. Okay,
this is great if you just really want to dive into like real journalism.
It is fabulous. A lot of times students or schools that do this, they divide into teams. And so my team has 1 week to plan what they're going to cover their week. So the week I'm going to plan what I'm going to cover that week. Then during that week, like September 7th to 11th, I actually go out and find the information and take the pictures. And then once I do that, the next week, my team is in charge of putting the page together. And then the page is done. It's turned over to the editors, turned over to the advisor, page is finished. Okay, that is weekly coverage, has to be planned. Another way, this is again weekly coverage, but they did four spreads per month, but they did it by month. And then across the top is kind of a calendar. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got the dates that they covered that still a very nice looking book. Another example is this one. This was monthly coverage with multiple spreads. So chronological, I'm going to start with fall coverage. I'm going to put in 2 or 3 spreads on August, but I might have 4 spreads on September. I might have 5 spreads on October. I might have 1 spread on November. Every month doesn't have the same amount of coverage because not the same amount of events are taking place or the same stories. Love this book. Love the integration. They were covering sports, student life, clubs, academics, all together. And then this book is seasonal coverage. Sarah, you spoke last time on why you really like this for someone who's maybe not done this type of coverage before.
Yeah, I mean, diving into weekly coverage or even monthly coverage can feel a little daunting and it's a little overwhelming. So if you're interested in going this route, but you're nervous, this is a great starting point because it's seasonal. So it's still chronological, but it's not quite as narrow as doing monthly or weekly coverage. You have a little more leeway. So this is a great starting point if you've never done it before.
And, you know, to keep your theme really flowing for the book with your fonts and your colors, you also can do what's called just a theme mod. And if you notice, every one of these somewhere along the line had a theme mod. Like I was going back to this one, their theme was making it count. So all through there's a theme mod where they use a number and it's like a count. So even doing weekly, monthly, you have your theme in there through different modules that you carry through the book. So the student sees the theme constantly. Okay. It just depends on what you guys want to do, but think chronological, no matter what, that's how you need to think, whether it's weekly, monthly with multiple spreads, seasonal. That's how you're going to be successful because then your ladder works. You know,
in this particular book, they did each season was a different color combo. Right. Or a different dominant color, I guess.
Right.
And so, right. So summer was pink, you know, whatever they however they did it.
This last book is for like a smaller book that just does what I call topical coverage. So they had a spread on pets, a spread on classroom learning, a spread on music, a spread on fashion. This was a smaller middle school, but what wonderful coverage. Not as much text, but they did a really good job. And this was easy for them to collect photos from parents and outside sources. All right, pull out that ladder. Go get the paper one laminated or get sticky notes and start sticking them for every day and making like your ideas. Once this is done, this is something you can share with us. You can do it in Excel if you want to and share with us. And then once we decide, hey guys, this is great, and you're your seasoned advisor and you know how to do it, then you're going to type it in on the digital ladder so we can see it, so we know what you're doing. If you're a new advisor, this is the hardest part. I'm just going to tell you, this is the hardest part of Yearbook.
We are happy to sit down and do it with you.
Just making sure your plan is solid. And it doesn't just say sports page, sports page, sports page. It needs to say specifically what we're covering so we don't leave out a sport. I had a school one time leave out the faculty pictures. And I'll tell on Carey High, they left out band day one year, and there's a whole day called Carey Band Day. Okay. So you got to really sit down and brainstorm your seasons. I like to sit down and go, okay, it's fall. What are all our fall sports? What are all the normal activities that happen? And then we're going to have filler of all our really cool student stories and things that we want to talk about, individuals or groups or things like that. So I like to brainstorm the season.
So what do you do if you do that and then that event gets canceled?
The great thing about chronological coverage is it's easy to either insert something fun like a specialty page, but it doesn't look weird, like you're not inserting it in the middle of a sports section because you planned your sports as one section. So I like to do things in the order kind of they happen through the year. It makes more sense. The book reads like a story. It's just a really great way to do your book. All right. Deadlines. Last thing, takes 2 minutes to talk about deadlines. You got to meet them. Your ship date, kids, is determined by meeting your deadlines. So we've talked about the ladder and why that's important, why it's important to you. If your page is due in that particular deadline, why you have to do it. Advisors, get many deadlines. Don't let kids just be working on pages for a month and then all of a sudden the day before they go, oh, well, you didn't finish your page. No, you need to know all the time what's happening on their pages. Editors need to be checking with them. And I told the last group this, I never had my editors work on their pages during class time. Editors, you're the leaders. You lead by example. So you sit down with every kid, you know what every staff member is doing, you know where they're at in their process, they know what they need help with, and we help people along the way. We don't leave people to flounder. And so staff, that goes for you. If you're floundering and you're having a hard time and you can't, your mom won't let you go take pictures tonight, you need to reach out at the beginning of class and say, guys, I'm grounded. I got a B on that calc test and mom said I had to have an A to go to the game. So I need somebody to cover for me at the game tonight. This is collaboration at its finest, is that we work together as a team. We're a company creating a product, and we're going to plan our year out over the next few weeks.